What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody had a great day. I certainly did. It was definitely packed. Um, I had back-to-back appointments today, but it wasn't anything that was stressful or demanding or anything like that. What did you learn today? What was your lesson today? My lesson was, it actually is something that I already knew, but it is something that I was reminded of, and that is be careful of how you live your life outside of your workplace. And I say that because I know a lot of people who put very negative and emotionally charged information on social media, and it can definitely come back to haunt you. So I'm not going to get into why I'm saying that today, but what I will say is you never really know who's paying attention to what you're doing, and you may not be doing anything wrong, but sometimes all it takes is one person to miscommunicate or misinterpret something that you're doing, and then it can just really create a bad situation. So just be mindful. Although you have freedom to do what you want to do, say what you want to say, live the life that you feel like you should be able to live, so on and so forth. Um, wow. It does not mean that you won't be held accountable for that. In other areas of your life. I try to make sure that I am 100% genuine in everything that I do. That way, when people begin to come in contact with me, if they encounter a particular aspect of my personality, they're not surprised by something I might have said or something that I might have done. I try not to leave too much room for interpretation, because I want people to know me for who I am and not have to try to figure out who I am, because I don't like dealing with people like that. I like to know who I'm dealing with. Whether you care for me or not, at least I know where you're coming from. And social media has really done something to our society, because you have a few different types of people that participate in social media. One, you have the person who feels like they have the right to say and do whatever they want, and nobody should butt into their business, because it's their business, it's their social media account, and they grown and all this other kind of stuff. But there's a lot that goes along with that. It's almost like, to me, being responsible on social media is very. I don't want people. First of all, let me preface this by saying I'm gonna say what I want to say anyway, but I want to say it in a way that it makes sense to the people that are watching this video. I'm not saying anything to try to be offensive to anybody, and I don't want to have to justify why I'm saying it, but I preface what I'm about to say that way, because I don't want people coming at me talking about, oh, it's not the same thing. It may not be the same thing identically, but it pretty much is the same mindset. So what I'm going to say is, being responsible for your social media content, to me, is having the same mindset as being responsible when you decide you want to carry a gun. And the reason I say that is because when you fire off on social media about different things, whether it's your personal opinion, whether it's political, whether it is religious, or whatever it is, you have to be mindful of who all your statements, behavior, and actions impact. Are they going to impact your children if you have any? Are they going to impact your parents? How are they going to impact not just you, but the other people who are connected to you? Because even though I'm not responsible for my adult children's behavior and their reactions and things like that, people are still gonna look at them and be like, "Ooh, well, they wasn't raised right," which to me has nothing to do with the choices that they make. Now, in the past, that may have been me to say, that's a bad child. Where are their parents? How they, they must not have had a good upbringing or whatever. But I have come to realize, for a lot of different reasons, that once you hit a certain age, regardless of how you were raised, because of the fact that you have free will, you subject to wind up doing anything. It just depends on what character you possess. It depends on, the way that you think and what you believe. Some people don't agree with how they were raised, and when they begin to behave differently, it's because they are acting in accordance with who they really are, that they felt like may have been repressed or whatever during the time that they were being raised, because they didn't have the freedom to voice their opinion. So you're being true to who you are, whether good or bad or indifferent. You're being true to who you are. So anyway, no, it's not, the same as if you fire off at the mouth versus somebody actually firing a weapon. But my point is, it requires responsibility, one and the same. You have to be responsible with your words and actions and deeds the same way you have to be responsible when you decide you want to carry a weapon. You have to make good choices. At the end of the day, you're held accountable for your choices. So, I that's all I really wanted to say about that. It's just, it's amazing. Sometimes people will say things to me, and I'm taking in what they're saying. I may not react to it, or I may not really think about it too much when they say it. And then later on, I'll be thinking like, that's interesting that person would say that, because that tells me that this is what's happening. So something was said to me today something was said to me today that made me realize that somebody is really paying attention to what I'm doing after work. And I find that very interesting because of who it was. So just be careful. Just be very careful. Be very careful. Because, social media is helping companies make decisions about promotions, about accountability. They're making decisions it's helping them make decisions about whether you get that job or not, whether you keep that job or not. Social media is definitely being considered in so many different ways. Whether you think cussing somebody out on Facebook is going to impact your 9 to 5 or not, maybe it never will, but you don't know. You just don't know. You just don't know. That's kind of like when a police officer is, behaving a certain way. That is a reflection on the department that he's employed with, whether it's the city, state, or county. It doesn't matter what level of peace officer he is. His behavior and his actions are a direct reflection on his employer. And now, because there's so much going on, and I know, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing police officers, because I have several police officers who are very close friends of mine, and I love them dearly, and I think about them often when there's so much going on in the world, and I pray for their safety and things like that, because it's just so much happening. But sometimes when something bad happens, people tend to make blanket statements about that group of people. Just like African Americans, if you see one black person or a person who looks black, because there are some Africans, there are some Cubans, there are some other race of people that have dark skin, but they're not black, they're not African American, but they're categorized that way. And when somebody does something that is, it doesn't look good, people have a tendency to try to lump everybody in that race that way. It's crazy. Society is so funny to me because, I try to see people for who they are as an individual. I try not to categorize whole groups of people because try not to categorize whole groups of people because, not all black people are ghetto. Not all white people are bad. Not all people who have tattoos are gang members. You just don't know what a person's life has, how a person's life has carved out. You don't know what life experiences have impacted that person's decisions and, so on and so forth. There's a guy driving a truck and he is driving so erratically. He's almost ran into me twice. And I'm looking like he's just ridiculous. Anyway, you just don't know. So you can't lump people into a group without knowing the full story or knowing, what they've been through and why they're making decisions that they're making. And some people you meet in passing, so you never really will know the full story. But at the end of the day, we have to be careful with judging people because we don't want people judging us. I know that I've gotten irritated with decisions that people made or things that people done or said or whatever, and then when I found out the truth, I'm like, oh man, I feel like crap because I'm like, if I were in their shoes, I'd probably be reacting the same way. But we're so hasty we are so quick to decide what kind of a person someone is based on one or two different instances. So anyway, I'm just rambling now. But y'all you take care of you. Make sure that social media does not run your life. Make sure that social media is not what is running your life. Make sure that you are in control of your life, that you're in control of the decisions that you're making, and you're not allowing other people to get you so riled up on social media that you are acting in a way that can create negative repercussions. Don't do it. Don't do it. There are times when people have said things and there are times when things have happened on social media and I'm sitting there shaking my head like, well, I could really tell you something right now, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because sometimes there are people who say things on social media, but they say them on social media because they're cowards. They figure, you'll never meet them, you'll never encounter them, they never have to answer for their behavior. They may live where you are, they may not. You may know this person, you may not. It just depends. There are some people, they call them trolls. And there are some people on social media that actually they troll people's accounts for the purpose of saying things to hurt their feelings and to belittle them. And that's kind of the way that I categorize anybody who does not have my best interest at heart. So if there's anybody, even if I know who they are, if there's anybody on social media that I encounter that does not support, you can support me by not saying anything negative about what I'm doing. I'm not hurting you. I'm not hurting anybody else. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not making videos to satisfy other people per se. I'm putting out content that I want to be fun and interesting, and hopefully will be able to help bring somebody out of a bad mood. But at the same time, if there's information that's educational, that's what I want to do. I'm not trying to be a people pleaser and all that stuff. So, but you got some people out there that just they're not happy. They don't have anything positive to say. I don't have time for that. But anyway, y'all are awesome. And I'll see you later.